Oh, hello. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Me and Miss Pickles are on one of our many daily walks, and this is our new series called Culture About. We're going to talk about life inside of a high control group, growing up, and what it's like deconstructing as an older adult. Whew. Last time that we spoke, we were discussing how it feels to kind of live a double life as a Jehovah's Witness, to feel like you can't be your authentic self. And if you're a former cult member or, Jehovah's Witness, you may know what that feels like. You may have experienced that yourself. Felt like you had to pretend to be two different people, maybe even freaking 3, 4, 5, 6 different people. I don't know. But I personally felt as though I always had to be putting on airs and be somebody that wasn't really me whatsoever. Last episode, which I think was episode 3, we discussed what it feels like to live a double life, to feel as though you're being split into two, having to put on airs, be one person in front of the JWs and maybe be another person at work or at school. So maybe you even have a triple kind of personality, having to be so many different people just to feel as though you're fitting in, but not ever being authentically you. And today I wanted to go into what it's like to try to figure out who you are, rebuild yourself after, almost all of my life experiences are underneath my belt. But it's never too late. It is never too late to start over and to make a change. So that is what the Cult Dropout series is about. And I truly do appreciate you all being here if I have not said that. And I love that y'all in the comments are answering my questions and telling me your experiences as well. We're feeling each other. Thank you. So after being confined in that small JW world, I now, as an adult, can do whatever I want. It's not funny sometimes how you just, all of a sudden it hits you like, hey, I'm not a kid. I can do that thing I wanted to do. I don't have to ask permission. Well, I kind of feel like that when it comes to everyday situations. Do I like that movie? Do I enjoy that actor? Do I enjoy this kind of theme anymore now that I've stepped outside of this small box and realized there's so many other perspectives to consider? Before, I may have always sided with a particular character, and now that I'm almost a different person than I used to be, I don't get the same enjoyment out of certain entertainment. Like Seinfeld, I love that show, or used to love that show, and I still do enjoy it. But it does grate on me a little bit when I watch it because there's a lot of misogyny in there. It's patronizing at times. But because of the person who I was back in the day, that was normal. That was typical. That was expected. That's kind of just what I would have thought my husband would be like, or how he would treat me, etc. And now that I'm older, okay, I have to rationalize it. It was a different time period, and that's how people were back then. I mean, they still are today, but it was more acceptable, widely acceptable at the time. And now, watching it, I'm just kind of like, oh, not as funny as I thought it was, is it? And it's just many little experiences like that, even down to the clothes that I wear. I don't feel like I have a particular style. And, hello, just because you're a Jehovah's Witness doesn't mean that any of these issues that I have, you have. Okay, this is me speaking about how I feel. Quirky is a style. I have a quirky style, you could say, but I don't always understand how to dress for my body type and what colors look good on me and what's more presentable in certain formal versus informal. There's just societal understandings. What is the word? Societal, social constructs. Hi, yeah, I'm human. It's nice to meet you. There are social constructs that I feel as though I'm not as familiar with as others are, and it makes me feel awkward. What else? There's so many other little things. For instance, dudes painting their nails. Back in the day, a guy with fingernail polish would have been like, and now I like it. I kind of find it sexy. I think it's super cool. I'm like, well, damn, Why can't a guy, like, these items, these things aren't gendered. Clothing isn't gendered. Polish isn't gendered. Makeup isn't gendered. It's for bodies. That's what it's for. It's for humans. So if somebody wants to decorate themselves, why not adorn yourself? The gods used to do it. Why? Pickles, what are you doing? You know, why wouldn't humans want to make themselves look appealing, right? You know, a little bit of peacocking, if you know what I mean. I got my little ring things going. I got my little earrings going. And get my little lipstick going. It makes me feel good. It's cool. Why would I, you know, to keep it simple, why would I yuck someone else's yum if it makes them feel good about themselves? Bug. If it makes them feel good about themselves. I don't feel like I need to judge them. Although, you know, as a JW, I would have been encouraged and taught to judge people for their differences or how they adorn themselves. Nail polish on a dude? Hell no, that would be looked down as bad. Men with long hair? No, and now I would like long hair on a guy. I mean, I don't care, but I think it's cool. Bun, curls, braids, whatever you want to do. It's coming out of your body. That's your decision to do with what you want. I used to think, am I talking loud? If I'm talking loud, I apologize. This is one of the things I tend to do as I get further into conversations. I just get really loud and rambly. But I used to think that women with long hair, I used to think that women who had short hair were too mannish, too masculine. That's the word that I'm looking for, yes. Or too masculine. Because of the literature that I was reading in the Kingdom Hall, the way that they would talk about women, how they should appear, you know, up on the podium, and just in circles, just in the culture of the JW organization. I remember that there were certain women who had short hair, not many, but who had shorter hair, and it always seemed as though there was this like whispering amongst people in the congregation about short hair, and you know, men have short hair, not women. Like, in whose book? Why? There's plenty of reasons that somebody might want their hair short, none of which are your business. Am I right, Pickles? It's nobody's business. If Pickles, you want to grow your hair, if you want to dye your hair, that is your business. And that shouldn't, like, people shouldn't look at you like, oh, she's got pink stripes in her hair. Oh my gosh, that must mean something about her. Yeah, it means I like color. Oh my gosh, scary situation. But anyway, where am I going with this? To say that I have a lot of deep soul searching to do. And there's regular opportunities where I'm faced with a question that I've not been faced with because I've been meeting all kinds of people like you guys and other people from other cultures and experiences. It's nobody's business. If Pickles, you want to grow your hair, if you want to dye your hair, that is your business. And that shouldn't, like, people shouldn't look at you like, oh, she's got pink stripes in her hair. Oh my gosh, that must mean something about her. Yeah, it means I like color. Oh my gosh, scary situation. But anyway, where am I going with this? To say that I have a lot of deep soul searching to do. And there's regular opportunities where I'm faced with a question that I've not been faced with because I've been meeting all kinds of people like you guys and other people from other cultures and experiences, that I'm finally having this information put in front of me and I can make a decision. I never thought about free will. What's free will? Do I have free will? And now I don't think there is anything such as free will. I mean, to a minuscule extent, sure. Not been faced with because I've been meeting all kinds of people like you guys and other people from other cultures and experiences, that I'm finally having this information put in front of me and I can make a decision. I never thought about free will. What's free will? Do I have free will? And now I don't think there is anything such as free will. I mean, to a minuscule extent, sure. But there's no real control. Everybody else exercises their freedom over my free will. So would that not impinge my free will? Anyway, whole different topic. But those are the pathways and journeys that I'm excited to take. But I really truly wish that I would have been able to do this at a younger point in my life. I love that I have experiences now, But I think if I had this critical thinking ability back in the day, then I may not have made as many mistakes. Like I've said before, I've made many. And we all do. And you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you continue to try, and you don't let it stop you. And that's what builds you into the person you are. And I'm absolutely cool with that. I want my experiences to shape me for the better. But man, if I could have made it easier on myself, that would have been lovely. But there's no kind of real training for the better. But man, if I could have made it easier on myself, that would have been lovely. But there's no kind of real training in the organization for real world experiences, because you're not supposed to real training in the organization for real world experiences because you're not supposed to have them. You exist in this little congregational life, and that's where your day begins and that's where your day ends, other than the little bit of association you get with people like at work and secular places, grocery store. And even then, you're always still trying to shill out your religion because you're told that that's what makes you a good JW, is by your example, and that you preach to them because you care about these strangers, complete strangers. I care about a complete stranger so much that I need to change their mind about God. I need to lead them to Jehovah through his son Jesus. Big frippin' change their mind about God. I need to lead them to Jehovah through his son Jesus. Big frickin' whoop. I don't feel the need to just walk up to people, just walk up to strangers, to go to their doors, stand on the street corner, and think that what I have to say is so damn important that people want to listen to it. But yeah, I do make content because that's your choice. You can choose to come here and listen. You can choose to have a conversation if you desire. But, it's kind of insulting to go to people's door and tell them, hey, I got it all right. I have all the answers. And you can have all of this if you just hand over your life to the governing body. No, thank you. I never got to form. Oh my God. I never got to form my opinion on lots of things. LGBTQIA. We'll have to do a whole cult dropout on sexuality and like how you identify. Well, maybe that's what this should be about. Actually, how do I identify sexually? I guess that's what this is about. Finding your identity. Let's talk about it. What the fuck what am I doing here? Let's have that conversation. We're never allowed to explore our sexual likes and dislikes. That's another huge proponent of the confusion. I personally, now that I'm an adult and I know for the most part what I like sexually, I'm open to whatever as long as they're a good person. Like that's pretty much where age, like whatever. But other than that, I think love and sexual attraction is about the person and how you connect. For some people that might be looks, for some people it's intellect or whatever. And for me, it's really big intellect and personality and conversation. So just basing a relationship like the Jehovah's Witnesses expect you to, because they want you to base your relationship on I always call it spiritual health, but the spiritual health of the partner or the person you're looking at on having a relationship with. Do they go out in field service? Do they dress nice? Are they respectable? Do they place magazines at the door? Oh, that sounds like a great mate. Tick, tick, tick. All the boxes checked? No. There's so much more that I should have been thinking about when it came to relationships. Like, do we agree on whether or not I have control of my body if something went wrong and I would need to get an abortion? That's what I need to know. Would you stick with me if I were terminally ill, or would you leave me? That's the conversations I want to have, not do you put God first? It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is you're a kind, compassionate person. Respect. What more could I ask for? That is what turns me on. And a clean house, I'm not OCD in that way. I have OCD, but not in the cleanliness department. But yeah, man, Clean the house for me? I'm gonna suck that D. Pickle, I might have to erase that. But yeah, sexually, I'm so much more open. Things that I would have thought were taboo and shouldn't even be discussed, I'm now like, yeah, you should be talking about this with your partner. You should feel comfortable telling your partner what your dislikes and your likes are. You shouldn't feel embarrassed. Purity culture makes you feel embarrassed for wanting to enjoy your body, whether that's on your own, a little diddle daddle, little DJ diddle, or whatever other sexual performances you would like to do with your partner, this with your partner. You should feel comfortable telling your partner what your dislikes and your likes are. You shouldn't feel embarrassed. Purity culture makes you feel embarrassed for wanting to enjoy your body, whether that's on your own, a little diddle daddle, little DJ diddle, or whatever other sexual performances you would like to do with your partner or partners. And again, whatever floats your boat. If that's how you get down with the get down, I salute you. Be safe. Stay protected. Wrap it up. That's my word of advice. Otherwise, it's not for me to judge. Okay, so maybe I'm a great Christian and I only have sex with my wife and I never touch my pee-pee. Okay, but I beat my fucking kids. You're not a good... I never touch my pee-pee. Okay, but I beat my fucking kids. You're not a good Christian then. So how do you get to judge me for who I want to have sex with? Shut up and keep it to yourself. Okay, I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, you know, getting to know you. Getting to know all about you. I would have never thought that I would be living such a fulfilled and life that gave me opportunities to feel comfortable asking questions. And I am very, very blessed for all that I went through. I'm thankful to be where I am now, to have the ability to think things through and, you know, just figure out where I fit in. And I know so many Jehovah's Witnesses are living such a restricted life. Like, they can't even breathe. I used to feel like, I told y'all that I felt like I was in a cage. Just a bird trapped. I had wings. I meant to fly. I meant to soar and explore and see the beautiful world. But instead, you're stuck in a cage of doctrine that was not your choice. You didn't choose to believe. You didn't even choose to get taught it. But, you know, okay, that's being a kid. But it's insidious how much of a epidemic what is the word I'm thinking of? The way that their mind... Anyway, I lost my train of thought. I'm trying to think of other things that have hit me where I've been like, oh my gosh, how do I feel about that? I've never had to contend with that before. It's the first time I've been faced with that question or situation. And it does happen rather often. I can't think of anything right now, but what I would love to know is, in your deconstruction and reconstruction process, when have you hit that wall? What has come up for you where you realize that this is the first for you and you have a decision before you and you don't know how to make it because you've not had any experience to add to this, no not formal, but no kind of instruction or discussion to maybe take some words of advice from. Please tell me, because I know I'm not the only one who's had to deal with this. The one thing I didn't say in the last episode that I just realized about feeling like you're living a double life and having, you know, different personalities and compartmentalizing who you were at different times because you're from a high control group, and if anybody saw you, you know, dipping outside of those guidelines, you would be hounded and harassed and looked at as different. But this also kind of goes into my identity now. I don't like lying. As much as I hate to admit it, to protect myself, a lot of times I would have to lie to my parents, and that is where a lot of the double life probably feeling came. The guilt, not just the guilt from having to lie, and about minor things like silly little goofy things, Like, what did you do in school today? You know, well, don't tell them that I went to the auditorium and watched the cheerleaders do cartwheels. But shit. But over time, it's really hard to hold your stories together when they're not truths. So one thing I refuse to do now, I won't lie. Absolutely will not lie. I will tell the truth if you ask the question. Now, that doesn't always mean that there's not a little bit of, you know, white lie to it. I mean, there's always that, but never outright lie. I don't like doing that anymore. I don't ever want to have to go back in my head and think, oh, what did I say to that question? Ew. I did that far too much as a kid, and I'm not gonna give myself, like, I don't know, a heart attack from stressing out about trying to keep my ish straight. No, thank you. One thing I just thought of is that I might be recording the same segment on different days, depending on the weather, how hot it is. Right, Miss Pickle? Right, Miss Pickle? It's been really nasty out here. The humidity is what's making it bad. So I'll do my best to keep it all consecutive, sequential. I don't know what I'm saying. You know what I mean. So be aware, my outfit might change. Hello again. I realized once I got back and thought about it, I completely forgot to mention one of the things that I struggled with, like, now that I'm outside of the org, is even how to have relationships with people. And that is between me and my husband, me and my children, me and friends. Like, if me and my husband have a disagreement, I sometimes struggle with how do I approach him if I'm feeling a certain type of way. Because there's not, the only examples we're given are like the fake and phony plays and dramas from Watchtower. You know, of course, like, there's TV and there's people around you, right? But you're always supposed to be following the example that they put in front of you. Even like raising your children. Our parents are, I don't want to say bad examples, but they don't have the freedom of thought, and they didn't give their kids damn it. Especially as, like, a woman, when you're always told to make yourself small. Now that I know better, it still doesn't change the fact that I don't know how to approach disagreements. Let's say with my husband or my friends. I don't know if I'm making a big deal out of something or not. Am I catastrophizing? The examples that you get from the organization are always fake and phony. And they're just made up dramatizations. You might have TV and movies and people in your life as examples, yes, of course. But you don't get those kind of well thought out instructions from life experiences from JW parents like you would from someone else who was a bit more open and experienced with society, being, you know, not being afraid to be inside societal norms, you know, because Jehovah's Witnesses feel like they're living in the world. Wait, what do they say? You're living in the world, but you're not of this world. Yada, 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 really, right? And then because I'm so used to over-policing myself, I get in this cycle of like, well, I'm not happy about this one thing, but is it a minor thing? Or is it a big thing? Should I bring it up? No, you shouldn't bring it up. You're being selfish. And then I go into that little cycle in my head again because I'm trying to make myself small, because that's what you do. You avoid problems. You swallow it. You take the small role. And that's overthinking. And then being unable to make a decision was quite typical for me. But even though life isn't a powder keg anymore that I have to worry about exploding on me, I still kind of walk on eggshells, at least in my mind, trying to decipher what's worthy of a conversation and what's not. What is me making things into something bigger, because that's kind of what you do as a JW. You pick little tiny flaws and make them into something they're not, because it's all a distraction to keep you from the realities of what's happening, the realities of you being taken advantage by a big church. As confusing as all of this can be for me at times, I know that when I find myself in a position that I'm uncomfortable, then likely I have some room to grow. I probably need to get my ass out, open the door, stretch my feet and my legs and my body, and get used to feeling uncomfortable because this is the place that I have some growing to do. So that's how I'm trying to approach life, because if I don't do something, then nothing is going to happen. But if I start pushing myself, taking one step at a time closer to a goal, then the likelihood is that I will reach that goal. I may not, but I'm definitely not if I don't get a little uncomfortable. And one of the things that we are not afforded as a JW is alone time to really sit and think and listen to yourself, to what your heart wants, because your time is so occupied and filled. She's hearing these dogs and she's getting all excited. So take advantage of that. Now that you're not restricted to life as a JW and always having your time monitored and exploited. Get to know yourself, whatever that means, whatever hobby you need to explore, whatever book you need to read, whatever friends you need to make, you should do that. Because there's so much more in this world we haven't seen, foods we haven't tasted, and friends we haven't made. Foods we haven't tasted, and friends we haven't made. And oh, okay, thank you, Pickle. That's what I hope to do with y'all, is become part of a community that's changing and growing and experiencing life from a new perspective now that they're outside of cult conditioning, carrying so much internalized hatred for themselves, for other people, for no reason other than because you were told to do so. Okay. My advice, wear those bright colors that you're always worried about wearing, how people will view you. Change your hair up, maybe put some bright colors in there if you feel so inclined. Go to that restaurant you've been wanting to try and get that spicy food you've been craving. Meet new friends, start a blog, whatever you have to do to give your soul peace, to find your spirit, to give you some excitement about life instead of being afraid that every day death is around the corner. It is a beautiful world, and we can continue to shape it into something that is far beyond this paradise that we were promised by the governing body. It takes chutzpah, it takes moxie, and it takes courage. And I know that I can do it. I know that you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So together, let's be undoctrinated and unbothered. And we got this together. Hey, Pickles, you want to say goodbye? Tell them that you love them and you don't need God or gods to be a good person. Tell them that you love them and you don't need God or gods to be a good person. And in our next video for the Cult Dropout series, Pickles and I want to discuss mental health and healing. Many of us did not have a diagnosis for some of the issues that we have, and I recently got my own diagnosis for a few things, and I want to share that with you guys. So please stay tuned and you can see what mental health problems I have. Fun. Although we talked about feminism in one of my other videos, I wanted to delve deeper into it and stay on topic. So that will be part of my next Cult Dropout series, Feminism and You. Why it's so cool.